Welcome to Family Matters. If your relationship has gone from I love you to I can't stand you, spend the next hour with us as attorney Yashika MacArthur answers your questions about divorce and family law. And now, here's your host, attorney Yashika MacArthur.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Family Matters. I'm your host, attorney Yashika MacArthur, and I always like to start the show off with some background information for my listeners, just in case it's your first time tuning in. I'm attorney Yashika MacArthur. I was born in Miami, Florida, and I'm a graduate of Florida A&M University's College of Law, where I served as the president of the Phi Alpha Delta Law Fraternity International. I also received my Bachelor of Science degree from Florida A&M University in 2004, where I majored in political science with a minor in criminal justice. I'm currently a guardian ad litem certified in the state of Florida with the 9th Judicial Circuit. While in law school, I interned at the Texas Attorney General's Office, Consumer Protection Division in San Antonio, Texas, and the Legal Aid Society of the Orange County Bar Association right here in Central Florida. Since that time, I've also worked at several large law firms within the state and taught legal programs to those interested in pursuing careers as paralegals. I've also written articles that can be found on several national media websites, and most importantly, I am currently the managing attorney at the MacArthur Law Firm. I'm also currently a member of the American and Federal Bar Association, the Orange County Bar Association, the National Bar Association. I'm federally licensed in the Middle, Northern, and Southern Districts Courts of Florida. I'm also a member of the George C. Young First Central Florida American Inn of Court, the Apartment Association of Greater Orlando, and East Orlando Chamber of Commerce. And for all my loyal listeners, you know I'm also a pet lover. I have an 8-year-old Yorkshire Terrier by the name of Jax. He's currently on my billboard and TV commercials. You can also watch that commercial, which he's featured in, on my website, themacarthurlawfirm.com. And MacArthur is spelled M-C-A-R-T-H-U-R. And again, that website is themacarthurlawfirm.com. You'll find lots of information about my firm, different areas of law that we practice, but my main focus would be family law, dealing with child support, divorce, child custody, time sharing, and I also handle some real estate matters such as eviction. So if you're a landlord or a property manager and you have some tenants that you need to evict, perhaps they're not paying rent, and you just want them out, feel free to give us a call at the office, 407-556-7078. Again, that phone number is 407-556-7078. And I'll be more than happy with my staff to go ahead and get those tenants out of there and answer any questions that you may have, perhaps not related to family law or real estate. Now, if you're listening tonight and you have a question about the topic that we're going to discuss, which is very important, it's about dividing your business during a divorce, feel free to give us a call live on the air at 407-674-1025. That number again is 407-674-1025. 1025, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have related to tonight's show or perhaps even a previous show. So tonight, I have a special guest join with me this evening. I went to law school with this young woman, and she is so amazing. Whenever I have any issues as far as that perhaps you need to open a business and you want to know, well, how do I do that? I want it to be a for-profit or a not-for-profit. I say, well, you know, I'm good at almost everything, but there's just a few things that I'm just not that great at, and I would not want to steer you in the wrong direction. And so I will refer you over to my great friend and colleague, Miss Kamilah Jolly. Kamilah, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. You know, it's such a pleasure when you are able to say, you know, when you're able to highly recommend someone. You know, it's one thing to say, okay, I can refer you over to this attorney, but it's something else to say, I know this attorney. I know they're going to do a great job for you. I know they're going to take care of you. And I've even had a client call back and say, oh, she's awesome. She's so wonderful, and I enjoyed working with her. And I said, well, you know, that makes me feel good because you never want to refer someone to someone and then hear something bad about them, you know?
I agree.
Have you had that experience before?
Yeah, it's really awkward, especially if you see them out and you're like, hey.
I know, you get that call and they're like, don't send any more people over there. She's awful. But I've never had that experience with you, so I'm so happy to have you here tonight. So this evening's topic, we're going to talk about when people get married, there always hope for that happily ever after. But the sad fact is that 52% of all first marriages and 70% of second and third marriages end in divorce. You end up having to call me. Although divorces are always difficult for everyone involved, they can become that much more difficult when one or both spouses own a business. Now, your business is probably the most valuable financial asset that you're going to own. You've spent countless hours and resources nurturing and growing it, but did you know that you might be unwittingly doing things that could put your business at risk in the future event of a divorce? Well, depending upon your individual circumstances, your spouse may be entitled to as much as 50% of your business in a divorce. 50%. And I actually had this happen where I had a client, they owned 3 Domino's pizzas, and he just didn't want her to have any of them. And she's like, you know what? I just want 1. He can keep 2. And he was adamant. No, I don't want her dealing with any of them. In the end, guess what? She ended up with 2 and he ended up with 1. So you really want to be careful about how you set your business up. So since it's probably safe to assume that you will not want your ex-spouse to remain in your life as a business partner, what can you do to protect your business? Well, this show will explain the basic differences between separate and marital property, and then provide you with a number of effective tools that could help protect your business against the possibility of divorce. And we're also going to discuss several ways to mitigate the damage if you're already heading for divorce and you have a business and you didn't protect yourself in the beginning. So let's talk about the people that are engaged. You know, they're not married yet, but perhaps they have a business. What should they do? Do they need to do some sort of legal document to protect themselves?
Yes.
What should they do?
You get it in writing.
Get it in writing, people.
Getting it in writing. Get it in writing.
Now, do they need to do that when they incorporate or when they are trying to become, I have no idea when it comes to business law. And that's why you're here, because you're like the expert on this. What is it that they need paperwork-wise? What is it that they need to fill out?
You definitely need to have either a partnership or a joint venture agreement in place. I recommend that it's done before you're even incorporated. So that way you have discussed all of the basic and main issues about the business before it even becomes officially a business with the state.
Interesting. Okay. Now, I've heard this before, and is it true that, normally you want to go 50-50, but I've heard that someone should actually be like the 49% owner, so the other person has a little bit more interest in the business. Does this matter?
It doesn't matter, but
there's always a but.
There's always a but.
When it comes to legal stuff, there's always a but.
There's always a but. My gosh, it's one of those things where it doesn't matter, but it does matter. Mm-hmm. If you have it in writing, it's more than likely what's going to hold up in court, and it makes it a little bit easier to differentiate which partner, and I say partner because there was a partnership.
There was a partnership at some point.
At some point.
It may be over now.
But there was a partnership at some point. And some people do it just for, some people do it so they can have the benefits of saying, hey, we're a woman-owned business, or, so they can get specific certifications because they have that 51%.
Oh, now see, that's interesting. In order to say you're a minority business owner,
correct,
or, you want to have that majority ownership interest in the business in order to get that title.
Right.
Okay, that's definitely interesting. Now, before we go further with this, I also want people to keep in mind there's some critical advice that they need in order to be effective. Now, these protective methods must be in place well before the thought of divorce enters anyone's mind. Something like a prenuptial agreement, we talked about this a couple shows ago, should definitely be signed before the wedding, and please, not the night before or an hour before. That's a big no-no. You don't want to do that. But techniques such as transfers to irrevocable trust need to be done years in advance. But depending upon your state's fraudulent transfers law, transactions can be voided up to 7 years after the transfer. So if you and your spouse are even slightly thinking about the divorce, it's probably too late at this point to take any protective measures. So you want to keep that in mind. Now, there's a few tips before we go to break of how you can protect your business in a divorce. Think about this, separate versus marital property. Always know that in general, separate property includes property that was owned prior to the marriage. an inheritance received by one spouse solely, a gift received by one spouse solely from a third party, not from the other spouse, and the pain and suffering portion of a personal injury judgment. Now, keep in mind there's a warning here that separate property can lose its status if it's mixed or commingled with marital property or vice versa. So if you get that inheritance from mom or dad and then you put it in your joint bank account, guess what? It's not protected anymore. It's now a marital asset. You definitely don't want to do that. If you get that inheritance or you get that award from that personal injury lawsuit, then you definitely want to go ahead and put that in your own bank account in your name only. You're the only one that has access to it. So that way it keeps its protection, okay? When we come back from the break, we'll continue this discussion. And you're listening to Family Matters with me, attorney Yashika MacArthur.
Welcome back to Family Matters, answering your questions about divorce and family law. Now, back to your host, attorney Yashika MacArthur.
Welcome back, everyone, to Family Matters with me, attorney Yashika MacArthur. Now, we are fortunate this evening to be joined by the lovely and talented attorney, Miss Jolly from Jolly Esquire. So give them some information about your office so they'll know, because let me tell you, you can call me about a divorce or real estate or something like that, but if you call me and start asking me about how do I incorporate a 501c(b) or something along those lines, I'm going to say, I have no idea. You're going to have to call this woman here. So go ahead and give them some information so they'll know how to reach you.
Okay, well, my telephone number is 844-565-5937, and we are located in Metro West, specifically in Veranda Park. If you're driving down Hiawassee and you see those four statues, four horses, the four-horse statue.
Horses, yes.
We're located in that office complex.
It's a lovely office. I've actually been over and visited you there. And, I felt so comfortable and welcomed in there. So I thought, if I was a client and I came here, I'd feel like, I'm going to get taken great care of.
Thank you. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear.
Yes.
That is our goal. We strive to have the best service, especially in serving our business clients, because we understand what it's like to be a business and to offer great service.
Now, what's something that a business, not necessarily just a small business, they could be a medium-sized or a large business, what is something that you always tell them when they come in initially to see you during that consultation? Do they normally come in already having their paperwork done, or are they making changes to it, or what is it that the most common thing that you see?
Actually, I see a combination of both. Sometimes people come in and they have their paperwork and I say to them, okay, this is fine and dandy, but for what you want to do, we need something a little more expansive, a little more intense with the right kind of language. And also, I have people come to me and they literally just have an idea like, hey, I want to do this. Can you help me? And I help them flesh it out, get a business plan together, get all their incorporations done, the trademarks, copyrights. Essentially, if it deals with business, then we do it.
Okay. Now, you just mentioned something that I thought was good about a business plan. I know I'll run across people, they'll say, well, I have this idea, to create a Post-it or something like that, but they just have it in their mind and it's not actually drafted down on paperwork. So that is what you would consider a business plan, coming up with some sort of plan of action.
A plan of action. And people should really they don't tend to think about the social media aspect, the marketing, the advertising, the actual operations of the business, their growth plan. Those are all things that should be considered in a business plan.
Now, are they pricey? Are business plans pricey? What if I'm someone, I'm working, right now I'm working at Walmart, but I have this idea and I want to create a plan and get it on the shelves perhaps at Walmart. That's ideal. Is it going to cost them a lot of money to come in and get this business plan?
No, actually, we offer free consultations.
Free consultations. Okay, this is good.
So free 30-minute consultation. And in that time, I can have a great understanding of the type of person that I'm working with. And it totally depends upon you. Some people they literally need me to take the ideas out of their head and write them on paper. And some people can bring to me they bring kind of like an outline of what they'd like, and I help them fill it in. So it depends on really how much
research or work they've done on their own.
Yes.
Before they come to see you. Okay.
Yes.
So you want them to try to flush out this outline if they can, but if they haven't, it's okay. You can still help them.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Well, if you're listening and you have a question for her about a business plan or an idea or how do you come in and see her, give us a call live on the air at 407-674-1025. And that number to the station again is 407-674-1025. And now, Attorney Jolly, give them your office number again one more time, just in case they're kind of shy. They don't want to call in tonight, but they still have a question for you.
My office number is 844-565-5937, and my website is www.jollyesquire.com, JOLLYESQUIRE.com.
Great. Now, perhaps the most complicated property division issue stems from family-owned businesses. I love the idea of a family-owned business, but we all know that sometimes those can be the most complicated. Well, the value of the business, both at present and future profit, must be considered. Now, most small businesses that are owned jointly by two spouses can be divided without a dispute. Most times, not all the time. But options that include a buyout agreement in which one spouse buys out the other portion owned by the other spouse. One spouse receives the business while the other receives financial compensation for that. Payments from a co-owned business can be made over a specified period to ensure that both spouses gain from a financial success. If the business comes into one, perhaps your business is making a profit. Also possible are separation clauses in which various facets of the business are given to each spouse. So some spouses may be able to remain business partners after divorce, but that's not common. In this scenario with the dominoes, that's what he proposed. She said, you know what, I'm going to keep them all. If she just wants to stay my partner and be on the books and get a check, I'm fine with that. You know what she said? Absolutely not. When we're divorced, I never want to see him again. I want to have nothing to do with him. I just want my dominoes or check. And you know what? She got it. She got two of them and he got one. And I thought, is this realistic? Is he really serious? Does he want to continue having her as a business partner after the divorce?
Yes.
I was like,
some people, they think that it's okay and that they'll be able to work together well. And no.
I don't see that happening. Now, it's maybe if your divorce was amicable. Maybe if, you just said, we grew apart. We're just going to be friends. Or like we had a story a couple of weeks ago about Andrew Dice Clay, I think it was. And he got a divorce, but he wanted to still date her and be in the same home or something like that. And it's like, this is kind of odd. But if you're getting a divorce because you had an affair, you're abusive towards your spouse or something along those lines, I don't see you remaining business partners. I don't see that as a viable option.
It's not going to happen.
It doesn't make any sense. So you also want to keep in mind that dividing the assets in a way that suits both spouses makes for the optimum divorce. Optimum. Isn't that? I would love to have optimum divorces in all of my cases. That's not probably going to happen either, but agreements over property divisions can speed the divorce process and keep communication lines open. A vital necessity for couples with shared custody or minor children. You want to always have those lines of communication open. Now, another thing to think about, the key to an amicable division of asset lies in cooperation and willingness to be fair. You have to want to be fair. You can't say, oh, we have 3 dominoes, I'm keeping them all. No, tell her she can have one. Give her that option. But specific information within your state, if you're not in the state of Florida, maybe it's different. But here in Florida, it's going to be fair. It's going to be equitable. It's going to be 50-50. And although your marital property will not survive a divorce, intact, you won't be able to keep everything, it won't be destroyed either. So the better way you can work with your ex, the more the both of you can retain your property, you definitely want to do that. Now we have a caller. We have Ray calling from Orlando. Ray, you're on the line. How can I help you?
Hello, how you doing? This is Ray from Orlando. I have a question. My fiance and I, we're going to open up a hair salon, and basically what's going on is that he's going to pay for it, like getting the place and helping me out with the equipment and stuff. But since I'm the one who's going to be doing basically all of the work, he wants me to make him a 50-50 owner. Is that a good idea?
Ooh, now this is a great question because you're going to be doing most of the work, but he's putting the money up to open the business. And we just talked about this whole 50-50 split of the business. I'm going to defer to Miss Jolly on this one because you know what? I think, I don't know if 50-50 is the way to go. You know, what do you think?
Well, it depends, because how do you quantify sweat equity? Because she's literally going to be there day in, day out. She's going to be the one handling the customers, ordering supplies, dealing with the vendors. So is 50% of that really fair for you?
You know, that's a great question. I wouldn't have looked at it like that because, okay, let's say he's giving you $10,000 or so to open this business, but you're going to be the one there day in, day out doing the work. And even if you paid yourself, you know, I don't know what's a fair hourly wage for a hair salon. Would it be like $10, $15 an hour, 40? I think you're going to be doing more than 40 hours a week, Ray. So I'm thinking 50-50 may not be the way to go because over time, I think easily in the first 4 to 6 months, you could have done enough sweat equity to surpass his $10,000 investment. So I don't think you should go 50-50. I think, what do you think is a more equal split as far as this paperwork?
Maybe 65% to her.
And then he gets the remaining balance. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ray, you heard that. Now, Miss Jolly, give her your number so that if she has questions about setting up this paperwork, she can give you a call.
It's 844-565-5937. And please give me a call because you need to have something in writing.
Yes, and she does a free consultation, Ray, so you definitely want to give her a call. But what I'm saying is don't do this 50-50 with him. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. He's your fiancé. You know, you're going to marry him. Maybe you just need to come in and speak with the attorney so that you can get the business knowledge. So you already got the hair part down, you know, but now you need to get the business part down. So thank you so much for calling in, Ray. All right, you're listening to Family Matters with me, attorney Yashika MacArthur, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to Family Matters, answering your questions about divorce and family law. Now, back to your host, attorney Yashika MacArthur.
Welcome back, everyone, to Family Matters. We have been talking about how to divide your business during your divorce, and hopefully you don't go down that road of a divorce, but the reality is about 50% of marriages actually do end in divorce nowadays. And if you have a business, we've talked about how you can go about ensuring that you can divide that business as amicably as possible. And now we're on to my favorite part of the show, the famous Family Matters. Now, you know, I looked in this week and I said, not as many good stories as I like. No goodness like that whole V. Stiviano and Sterling. Okay. You know, that story was just perfect. Or even when we had the situation with Columbus Short, you know, getting out fired off scandal. You know, that was great. But we had some great, you know, a few good stories this week. So the first one is about Miss Tamar Braxton. For those of you that don't know, Tamar Braxton is the younger sister to recording artist Toni Braxton. They were on this show on I believe, the Braxton Family Values and everything. And well, now she's in some trouble. If you ever watch that show or if you ever saw any social media sites, she's always saying .com, .org, .something,
.net.
.net. You know, that's like her favorite thing. Well, apparently it's a songwriter out there that's suing her, claims that Tamar stole from her one of her songs for her new album and even stole her vocals for the album. According to the lawsuit, Emmy Cuslin claims she co-wrote One-on-One Fun with Angela Hunt. Cuslin then recorded a version of the song on her own. Cuslin claims Hunt gave the song to the Braxton for her album Love and War, which is a wonderful album. I play it all the time. And, you know, Cuslin now admits that Hunt had the right to license the lyrics, but Cuslin claims Braxton's recorded version included vocals from Cuslin's version, and that crosses the line. So she's saying when you're listening to One-on-One Fun, you can actually hear her vocals playing in that song. And she claims that as a co-writer of that song, she's entitled to 50% of the royalties plus damage. Now, a rep for Braxton tells us that the fight is between the writer and the producer and has nothing to do with Tamar at all. What do you think about that?
I wonder what their agreement was. What did they have in
when
writing?
They came up with this song? Absolutely. Because it sounds as though she's saying, well, we worked on this song together. I gave her the right to license the lyrics out, but not to use my recorded vocals.
Right.
But it's funny, when I listen to One-on-One, I don't hear anyone else in that song but Tamar.
Well, it's interesting to me. How does she know that her
vocals
are playing? Like, what kind of studio equipment does she have to single out, okay, hey,
that's my voice.
Turn that down, turn this up. Yes, that's my voice. That's definitely me.
This is going to be interesting because, a lot of people are saying, that Tamar got so many awards for her album.
Mm-hmm.
And now what if this comes out that a lot of the vocals on it were not, in fact, hers?
Well, it's probably background vocals, if anything. But really, again, what does their agreement say? What does that contract between the two writers say? What is the contract between the writer and the producer? Because producers often license and purchase songs and vocals.
That's true. And if the paperwork says she can do it, she can do it.
She can do it.
So there's no issue there. I bet you like to sit and look at that contract.
I would love to.
I not at all. I do not want to read it, but I'm sure you would enjoy it.
I would love to.
You would enjoy going through it. And that's why you need to call her if you need to get a contract drawn up, because some attorneys live and breathe for reading contracts, drafting contracts, and she's one of those attorneys. And, I'm the litigator. I want to be in that courtroom. I will argue you down and prove my point for my client. So it's always important when you're looking for an attorney to find out, well, what is your passion? What is it that you love to do? Because you want to hire the right attorney for you. The next famous Family Matters is about True Blood actor Jim Perrick. Well, apparently his girlfriend has dropped him. And now his real wife, because of course he has a wife and a girlfriend, is cutting him loose as well. We've learned that she just filed for divorce. Sierra Perrick pulled the plug on their marriage after almost 6 years, according to the divorce documents found in L.A. She lists their separation date as September 2013 and cites irreconcilable differences. On True Blood, Jim plays Hoyt. I've never watched True Blood, but I heard that it was good. And he just got dumped by Ginger, vampire Jessica. But the split with Sierra should be bloodless because, again, True Blood's just a show and it's not real. And they have no minor children. And in the documents, Sierra says there's no community property to fight over. Yeah, I'm sure she says that. With all the markings of an ironclad prenup, and it should be a nice, clean break. Now, if she's saying that it's going to be a clean break and there's no community property, in California they use the phrase community property. Here in Florida we talk about marital property. Is it a marital asset or not? Same thing as community property, just a different verbiage. She's saying they have a prenup and you want to cheat on me with your girlfriend, fine, it's over. The 6 years we're done. We have no children. We have a prenup. It's going to be a clean break. What do you think about that?
I want to see the prenup. I like to see the paper. I want to know what the contract. I want to know what the contract says. And when did they sign the prenup? Was it an hour before the wedding?
Yes.
A day before the wedding? Did she have an opportunity to review it with her attorney? These are the questions that
you need to know. You need to know, because what if they signed this and it sounds as though she may have a little bit more than him, because she's the one saying, well, this is going to be a clean break. There's nothing to fight over. He can keep his little True Blood money, and I'm going to keep all the money I came into this marriage with. And, True Blood's,
it's a pretty popular show.
It's pretty popular, so I'm pretty sure he's making some money. But she's like, she's out of here. So I wonder what that prenup says and when it was signed. I hope it wasn't signed the eve of the wedding or the day of the wedding, because it's not going to hold up. But she thinks it will, so we'll see. All right, what about this show? Meet the Parents. Star Terry Polo has a house full of pets. Now, when I saw this story, I had to talk about it because you know how I am about pets. Yeah, everyone knows. Okay?
Everybody knows.
Well, she has 7 pets, and they had some pictures of them online, and they're all so adorable. And while we're sure she loves them in her own way, she just told the world that they're not worth anything. Well, Terry owes more than $700,000 to the IRS. So she filed for bankruptcy earlier this year. And now she's taking inventory of her assets and new documents. First, the good news here. Terry's assets include a 2012 Prius worth $16,800 and jewelry worth about $1,700 and some office equipment worth about $225. Well, that's sort of good. Here's the sad news. She also lists her 4 dogs and 3 cats as assets and puts the value at them at a whopping $0. Okay. She could be pulling an Aaron Carter. You know how he said that, he did the same thing last year, claiming he didn't want any creditors to liquidate his pooch. Or maybe she just thinks they're worthless. I don't think so. If a person that has that many pets, I'm pretty sure she knows the value in them. The emotional value,
it's
perhaps
sentimental.
The sentimental value. Well, Terry's optimistic, and she's hauled in $141,000 this year. Wow. And she's made more than $300,000 last year. And in the document, she lists her ability to continue working and earning residuals as her best asset. You know, I love Jackson. I just love animals. But when it comes to bankruptcy, and you would know because you practiced in bankruptcy as well, unless that pet is like a show dog or like some thoroughbred that you have paperwork on and he can breed and make some money off of him, you can actually put him down for, I don't know about zero, maybe $20. What do you think?
About $20.
I think I put him down for about $20. But, you know, so I know that some people are all in uproar about the fact that she listed her 7 pets at $0. I think that if they're not these, you know, special type of pets, I think she can get away with this. I don't think that the bankruptcy court should have a problem with that. What do you think about that?
I don't think that they would have a problem with it, provided that they aren't pets used for breeding or some type of income derivative source. So.
Yes, and now what about this? What if she actually had one of them appear on Meet the Parents with her and they got a check for that?
That would be an issue. That would be an issue.
Now we have a problem because if you had little, you know,
pet number 4
on Meet the Parents, you know, throwing a frisbee at him and then he got a check for like, I don't know, $500. He's making income.
Yeah.
Someone may have seen him and Meet the Parents and want to put them in their show. And
that needs to be disclosed to the trustee.
That needs to be disclosed. And guess what? You may be looking at a situation there that he's now considered an asset. So that's something to think about. But for the average person, you know, you can go ahead and put that down. I have clients come in and they're always like, are the trustees going to take my pet? Absolutely not. Not as long as I'm your lawyer. I'm putting him down there. I'm going to put him at a minimum value. And if they come for him, I'm going to be right there with you saying, I don't think so. He's not leaving this house.
But that's provided that they aren't breeding their pets or they're not show pets.
No, that's a different story. Yeah. Now, if you have this little factory going on at your house and you're breeding them and you're selling them, and I see people putting them up for sale on Facebook and Craigslist.
They're expensive.
I can't help you with that. You know, we're gonna have to put the value down and let the trustee deal with that. But if you're just an average pet lover that has your 1 or 2 pets at home and the only value that you get out of them is emotional or sentimental, then guess what? It's a wrap. There, you can keep them.
Okay. Yeah.
I know, you know, hopefully I never ever have to file bankruptcy or think about that. But if I tell you, if a trustee comes to my home wanting Jacks, oh boy, they're going to call the news.
I don't know what we do.
Local attorney is standing up there, you know, chained to her door.
Chained to her dog.
Chained to her dog. You're not getting him. You're not taking him. I don't think so. Keep it moving. So you're listening to Family Matters, and we'll be right back.
Now, back to your host, Attorney Yashika MacArthur.
Welcome back, everyone, to Family Matters. If you're listening and you have questions, feel free to give us a call at 407-674-1025. That phone number again to the studio is 407-674-1025. Or if you're listening and you have questions about a divorce and you're thinking about filing divorce or maybe child support, give me a call at my office. That phone number again is 407-556-7078. That number to my office again is 407-556-7078. And I have my special guest, Attorney Jolly, here. And just give them your number again to your office if they have business questions.
It's 844-JOLLY-ESQ. It's actually 844-565-5937.
I like that. All right, we're back with our famous Family Matters. Well, you know, I must admit, this is one of my, everyone, you know, if you listen to the show, you know that I love my reality TV, from Turtle Man to live action. You know, that's like on, you don't watch Turtle Man?
I don't know.
He like goes out and catches animals, like it could be a snake, it could be an actual turtle. He like goes everywhere. I mean, you gotta watch it. I think it's on hiatus right now, but you can catch some repeats. Oh, I love it. And Moonshiners? Amish Mafia?
Okay, I watched Moonshiners and Amish Mafia, but I generally watch a lot of real estate-based shows.
Oh, gosh. This is the true example of an attorney, okay? She's watching CNN and real estate, and I'm over here watching Turtle Man. Hey, see, this is why you got to talk to your attorney, get to know them. I need a break. When I come out of court, I need to decompress. I need to not think about court. I just need to have a moment to be a regular person.
No, most of my shows are legal-based
dramas.
Geez.
Oh, jeez. You're that Law and Order.
No. I'm Scandal, The Good Wife, shows like that.
I can't, after becoming an attorney, I couldn't watch those shows anymore, like Law and Order.
I can't watch it.
Or sometimes Judge Judy, too.
I can't
because
watch her.
It's not accurate. They're doing things and people come see you thinking, well, I saw this on Law and Order.
This is how it's going to work.
That's not the way it works for real. In real life, that's TV. It's dramatic for a reason, to get ratings. But try being dramatic at the courthouse. You're not going to get ratings. You're going to get arrested. So that's just
not,
that's just not the way it works. So I don't know. Oh, did you see that thing in Brevard County with the judge?
Oh my gosh, where the judge it was a public defender, right?
Yes.
And they got into an actual fight.
And I want to say, people, if anyone ever says to you, let's take this outside because I'm going to kick your butt.
Don't go.
Don't go. They're not, and I'm using the word butt because, we're on the air. He didn't really say that it started with an A. But listen, when the public defender's trying to say now that he thought they were going to go talk and have a conversation, those words, let's take this outside because I'm going to kick your butt, does not translate to let's talk and have a conversation.
I don't think he thought they were going to talk. I think he thought he could take the judge.
That's
what I think happened. I think he's embarrassed now, but I think he thought he was going to be able to take the judge.
Because he walked so freely, like, all right, let's go.
I'm going. Yeah.
So let me say this. As a person, it was hilarious. It was interesting. As an attorney, I was disgraced because you have humiliated my profession once again. People already think that attorneys are like the lowest form of employee out there or person out there. As an attorney, I was disgraced by that. As a person, freaking hilarious. I just got to say that. Okay. So let's move on. Enough about that. Let's talk about Heidi and Spencer Pratt. They're finally splitting up, briefly anyway. Briefly.
Okay.
Because the two of them are taking part in Celebrity Wife Swap and taking a nice check for it too. According to sources, Orange County's most hated couple of reality TV shot an episode that airs next week. And they'll be swapping with 7-time Olympic medalist Amanda Baird and her husband. Sources say that Pratt took home $50,000 for the gig, which we know is nearly $20,000 more than some other couples have been paid in the past. I'm going to watch that. Now, I used to watch this a long time ago when I was in law school.
The City and the Hills.
And Wife Swap. But now I got to see this. I want to see, what is it like a day in their life? What do they do? I want to know.
Well, I'm going to watch solely because it's Heidi and Spencer. And say what you want about Spencer, but in terms of business, he got $20,000 more than other couples.
Listen,
you don't have to like him, but he's so awesome at being a villain.
He is, but towards the end of The Hills, did you see when he had all those crystals all over his house?
Yeah, he just got really weird.
He got really weird. So I want to watch this to see, are they still like that? Was that just fake for The Hills? Or, are they normal people? I want to watch. I'm pretty sure they're as normal as you can be for coming off of a reality TV show. So.
And having so many surgeries.
Oh, Heidi. Oh, yeah. Goodness gracious. Yes. Now, this next story is kind of sad. We talked about it before. Casey Kasem, he was, he's up in age now, and he had his wife and daughter were having a disagreement over his health care. Well, apparently his wife threw a piece of raw meat at his daughter on Sunday. All because Carrie Kasem, which is his daughter, attempted to take the radio legend to a hospital. The back and forth drama between Jean Kasem, which is Casey's wife, and some of Kasem's kids has been bitter for quite some time now. But Carrie finally was allowed to see her dad on Friday, per a judge's order. Now, the judge also allowed Carrie to have Casey hospitalized if necessary, which is why she showed up on Sunday with an ambulance at the home he's staying in Washington. But when Jean, his wife, she said, I'm not having it. In the video, because this was all recorded, you can see both sides of the family going crazy. And for some reason, I don't know, it looks like they got the cops involved. And a biker crew facilitating this whole conversation. Well, Jean told NBC that she was following a Bible verse from King James when she threw the meat at his daughter. Ambulance workers were eventually allowed inside, and they did take Casey to a nearby hospital.
Absolutely not.
I don't know.
There's nowhere in the Bible where it tells you to throw meat at someone when you're doing raw meat.
I don't know about this.
At someone when they're doing something that you don't agree with. Like, you have to think about how terrible of a condition her father was in for her to go to the court.
The court gave her an order saying you can go there and take an ambulance with you and get him admitted to a hospital. And this has been going on for some while. And then they actually took him to the hospital. So he obviously needed some sort of care.
Exactly. Like, think about what kind of health condition and she throws not even cooked meat.
Raw meat.
And I wonder what it was. Was it chicken?
was it steak or chuck roast? I don't know, but I think that this is pretty sad that happened. And people are saying that she wants him to stay sick and in that home because
she has to.
If he passes away, she gets everything. So
what does his will look like?
Oh, of course you want to know what the
will. I do, because you have to consider those kinds of things. Like, she may be holding him hostage. Maybe she had him sign some type of crazy will. You
may be right. You may be right. You never know, because why is she trying to keep him from getting medical care? I don't know. And our final story this evening is about Michael Biehn, who starred in The Terminator and Aliens. Well, he's getting a divorce. Well, here's a big twist, not just a simple divorce. Michael's wife, Gina, filed for divorce in L.A., and it took a long trek for her to get there because she lives in England. Whoa. In fact, according to the documents obtained, she's been separated from Michael since 2007. And we thought Michael was actually married to this other woman by the name of Jennifer Biehn. Same last name, okay? Turns out they've been living together for years, and although she legally changed her name, they're not married. Michael and Gina have an 11-year-old son, and she wants full legal and physical custody of him. She also wants child support. We're told it's a very bad breakup way back in 2007, and they actually got back together several times, but it didn't work out. We're also told that Michael has been sending Gina regular financial support. By the way, this supposed other woman, Jennifer, she's also a celebrity of sorts. She did a spread for German Penthouse magazine. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay, I need a little bit of clarity. So Gina lives in England.
Correct. That's his wife.
That's his actual wife. Okay, Gina lives in England, and she files for divorce
in L.A.
Mm-hmm. And he is living with Jennifer, who changed her name, but they're not legally married.
Correct. She legally changed her name to be the same as his, but they're not legally married.
Is there a common law wife situation going on?
I don't think so, because listen, 2007, she says that's when they separated, but since 2007 and now they've gotten back and they've been back and forth, in and out, together. So in this case, this Jennifer woman could never claim that she was married to him, even whether it's common law or not, because he's legally married, and apparently from 2007 until now, he's been on and off with his actual wife. What I think is odd, not only besides the fact that she changed her name and she was in German Penthouse, is the fact that she's living with him. I think, you're living with this married man and you change your name. I find that to be a little strange. So I don't know about this one, Michael Biehn. But Terminator and Aliens, loved it. Well, you've been listening to Family Matters with me, attorney Ashika MacArthur. It's been a pleasure and a joy to have Miss Kamilah Jolly here with me this evening. You all have a great evening, and we'll talk again next week.